The S&P 500 just smashed through the $6,000 level. And honestly, we don't know if it's gonna make or break. And honestly, guessing the next level, man, it does look like we are looking a little bit bearish. So honestly, on Monday, we can either make a break upwards and or break downwards. So keep that in mind overall for the stock market. But with trade wars looming and inflation data dropping next week, is this rally built to last, or are we going to see a crash? Stick around and find out. Also, I'll be giving you 5 free stocks to watch and why at the end for those day and swing traders looking for some great returns. So the stock market ended on a good note this week, with stocks making more gains than Lizzo. So we had some significant gains with Apple, almost 3%, Nvidia 2%, Microsoft 2%, Meta 9%, Meta went parabolic, Amazon 5%. We got some great news with Amazon, and I've been personally day trading this one myself, making a decent amount of returns. We do got some bad news with Tesla stock overall, down almost 17%, which is insane. Some key drivers, man, we did get some great data yesterday with a better than expected May jobs report and brought up the markets a significant amount, beat expectations. We also had some optimism around upcoming US trade talks, but towards the end of the day, we did see the S&P 500 surge at close going to $6,036, making it its first time above 6,000 since February 2025 and gaining 1.03% for the day. We did have the NASDAQ up 1.2%, and we had the Dow Jones rose by 1.17% for the day. But back to the job data and the job reports, the non-farm payrolls gained 139,000 jobs in May, surpassing the expectations of 125,000. The unemployment rate remained steady at 4.2%. However, revisions to the March and April data reduced job gains by 95,000. Indicating a slight slowdown in the labor market. So one stock that hasn't really been looking good is indeed Tesla. Tesla did make some gains on Friday, however, recovering some of the 15% loss driven by the ongoing tension between Elon Musk and President Trump. If you guys want to know more about the beef overall, I have a video on basically everything that you guys need to know, all the history dating back to 2017 on Trump and Elon Musk relationship. If you want to know more about that, just check out that video, honestly. But we did get some new things coming out. You know, the beef just going back and forth still. There's supposed to be a phone call, but it never happened. But the beef still occurs with Trump and Elon coming out and saying, I will only apologize if the Epstein files came out. Honestly, which is kind of insane. He did tweet before that Donald Trump was into that. So honestly, this beef is getting insane. And honestly, I just think it's funny. And it's honestly just like a little high school, argument back and forth. I just want to say, for people that want to take their trading to the next level, I made an option course video teaching you guys everything that you guys need to know about options trading, how to become profitable, and strategies to stick to. Go check it out if you guys want. Thank you. So next, we're going to talk about Petco Health. So basically, Petco shares dropped 10% despite beating the earnings expectations, as guidance assumed current tariff levels would persist. So they did beat their earnings, but the revenue did indeed go down 0.5%. But we did see a big sell trading at around 2.79, which isn't really that bad. But honestly, these are some lower levels. And honestly, if you can watch this, you can add this to your long term, maybe even go back up to that 380 level. But honestly, this is a great one to hold 5-10 years. And this is one that I'm personally loading up to my long term soon. Next one I want to talk about is Microsoft, something that's carrying the market right now, but they're moving crazy. They reach this new all-time high basically at 471.8. And honestly, just moving pretty good. So I do recommend checking this out. And honestly, Microsoft is moving parabolic right now. So some things to watch for this weekend and honestly getting ready for next week. So first off is going to be US versus China trade. So we do have trade talks in London coming out soon. So look at any news related to that overall and just any news related to trade in general. This is mainly for Tesla stock, but look at the public dispute between Elon Musk and President Trump, as mainly you can get some laughs in, and then also it can really move Tesla stock overall, depending on what all they do. And next one is going to be Bitcoin, because honestly, man, Bitcoin can be making a slight recovery and can be a good trade for next week. And also Bitcoin trades during the weekend, so you can just see how it moves throughout the weekend as well. So I do recommend looking at Bitcoin because you can trade stocks like MSTR, Coinbase. And if you guys don't want to risk too much money, I do recommend looking at IBIT. The options are just very, very cheap and you're not really risking too much money. So I do recommend looking into Bitcoin in general. So now let's talk a little bit more about next week, things to expect and stuff like that. Mainly some things to pay attention to is on Tuesday, we have the US trade deficit data, and basically this could reflect tariff impacts. Wednesday, we got the CPI, a critical inflation gauge, and expectations for the CPI shows moderate inflation, potentially supporting rate cut hopes. If it falls below forecasted, it can show better odds of a rate cut. Thursday, we got the PPI data, initial jobless claims, and trade balance data. These will provide further insights into inflation and the labor market overall. Friday, we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, which could signal consumer confidence with the tariffs and inflation concerns be taken in account. Something else to be paying attention to for next week, we have the WWDC event, Apple's Developments Conference. Starting June 9th, Apple's WWDC could influence tech stocks, particularly if new AI or product innovations are announced. And they could also announce any deals or anything that they have with any other company. So you can see other companies going up, and this can just make Apple stock look better. They are kind of behind with the AI, and that's why their sales are dropping in China and other places as well. And honestly, I'm just pretty pumped to see what all happens. So keep this one on your radar as well for next week. This can move Apple stock a decent amount. But man, before we get to some supports and resistance and some plays and some stocks to watch for next week, just please stay cautious, but look for opportunities. With that being said, man, monitor CPI and trade talk outcomes closely as they will likely drive market direction. Buying on dips near the S&P 500 support levels, just like the 5,785, could be rewarding if bullish sentiment holds, but maintain a tight risk management. Diversify, consider exposure to financials, emerging markets, which have shown resilience. Avoid having all your money tied up in tech given valuation risk. Watch volatility, be prepared for potential swings if trade negotiations falter or inflation data surprises. But man, with that being said, let's look at the overall SPY. We did break 600, but didn't really hold above it. So next week, I will be looking at that 600 level. If we can break above that, look at 601.5, 603, and that 605 level. If we can break above that, look at 610. We still got some room to move to the all-time highs, but honestly, man, just be very, very careful. We are seeing a lot of bullish sentiment in the market, but honestly, we can get a big sell, and especially just one little news headline can really make all of this fall down. So keep that in mind because you could lose a lot of money. To the downside, look at 598.5, 596.5, 595, and that 590 level for the SPY. For Apple did move a little bit okay, but we haven't just been moving up and down overall. So honestly, if we can break that 205.5 level, we could see it break up even more. And next level is going to be 206.5, 207.5, and I'm looking at that 210 right after that. But to the downside, 203, 202.5, 201.5, and that 200 level flat. Below that, look at 199.5, 198.5, and 197.5 for Apple overall. Nvidia has been moving pretty decent. We did see it go up to 144, but I really want to see if we can break above that 144, get to 145, and then after that, look at 150. To the downside, look at 141.5, 140.5, and 139.5, and all the way down to 137.5 overall. Google, man, we have been itching upwards. They got those glasses, stuff like that. AI, they're adding AI to their search engine, so making them look a little bit better. So to the upside, like at 177, 180, and all the way up to that 190 level if we can break above. And they might even announce something, or Apple might announce something with Google. Because if Apple is like, we don't need Google anymore, we don't need that deal with Google anymore, we're just going to use our own AI, it can bring Google stock down. But to the downside, like at 173.5, 171.5, and then all the way down to that 170 level for Google overall. Palantir, man, we did indeed sell off a decent amount, but we did make a big recovery, and you could have made a great amount of money with this. To the upside, man, I am going to be looking at that 130 because sometimes we do rebound back to that 130. So above that 130, 132.5, and 135. If we do start selling off, look at that 125.5, 123, and all the way down to that 120 is going to be key. And then 118 after that, and then 115. Tesla, man, I do want to see if we can break past that 300. If we can finally break past that 300 again, we might have some room upwards. So 305, 310, 320, and then all the way back up to like 335 to that 340 level. To the downside, if we do start selling off again, 295, 290, 285, and then 280 to the downside for Tesla. Honestly, please just have your patience with Tesla overall. Next is going to be Bitcoin. Not really any levels, but honestly, one level is going to be that 105.5. And then at 106.7, if you can break above that, you can see it looking a little bit more bullish. To the downside, if we break below that 104, we can look a little bit more bearish and maybe even sell off and make new lows. But we did successfully bounce off that $100,000 level. So if we can hold above the 100,000, it can look a little bit better. But honestly, man, people are saying that people are just taking profits. They're not really getting too good of headlines for Bitcoin overall. So honestly, man, just have patience. If we get some good news, I think Bitcoin can rally back up. And then stocks like MSTR, Coinbase, and IBIT will be looking good. Now, let's get on to the segment where I give you guys 5 stocks to day trade. So first one is going to be Tesla. Why? Because this is basically a news-driven stock right now. But liquidity, man, Tesla is one of the most liquid stocks out there with an average daily trading volume of 90 million shares. But volatility, man, Tesla is highly volatile and honestly moving 3 to 5% every single day due to news that is coming out. But we did see a drop like 15% in one day. You could have made a lot of money, and we rebounded around 4% after that. So honestly, if it can start rebounding, some good news comes out, you could probably see 5 to 10% moves every single day, which is insane. But keep in mind, the Elon Musk versus Trump news can be moving. The robo-taxi launch can move it also. And trade talks, honestly, is they're pretty reliable on global supply chains. So keep that in mind. Next one on the list is going to be Apple, man. Basically, we got the WWDC event, trade sensitivity. They're basically reliant on China. So honestly, the trade talks can really move the stock basically. So I do recommend having Apple on your radar, especially for that event coming out soon. Next one, of course, Nvidia. Nvidia has been moving pretty strong, but not too strong. But honestly, a lot of shares traded daily, 300 to 400 billion shares to be exact. Very volatile, 3 to 5% moves. And we got some AI hype that can come out with the Apple's WWDC AI announcements, and it could really boost AI related stocks overall. Trade talks, of course, and just the market leadership that they have. They're basically the leader in trading setups, basically. Next two is going to be Coinbase and MSTR. So basically, man, Coinbase, crypto market, basically with Bitcoin looking like it's coming back, can move a decent amount, especially if Bitcoin can sell off, it can also move a decent amount downwards. So I do recommend having MSTR and Coinbase on your radar, and also IBIT as well if you guys don't want to risk as much money. But with that being said, man, the overall market is looking pretty good. Tomorrow's video is going to get you guys more prepped for Monday in general. This video is just for like overall week. Thanks for watching the video. Smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get to 500 subs. I'll see you guys. Peace out.